Let's have a conversation.
What's going on? How's everybody doing today? If you have not done so yet, please take the time to like the page, subscribe if you have not yet, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of whenever I drop some more great content. And thank you all for being here. As always, I have a topic that I wanted to talk about, and as you can see by the title, the topic is that you can't please everyone. I'm doing good, Chai. How are you? It's a little on the cold side over here, but it's also nice and sunny. And it's a bright, clear day in New York City. How about y'all? What about you guys where you are at? Yeah, so the lesson of not being able to please everybody. I think that in an earlier time in my life, I was definitely a people pleaser. I would go where the wind blows. In other words, if somebody told me, I think that you could do this better, or I think that you should go this way, I would go wherever they told me I should go. And the thing is, everybody had a different opinion. So it was like one person would tell me, hey, you should do this. And then I would start following what that one person told me. Then a next person I ask, or maybe sometimes you don't even ask. Sometimes they just give you unsolicited opinions. So the next person says, you know what? I don't know why you're going this way. You should go that way. And then the next person you encounter is like, no, it would be better if you go this way. The thing is, you're going to go a whole lot of nowhere, first of all, listening to everybody. Secondly, there is no such thing as pleasing everybody. And I'm going to put up a couple of quotes in a minute. Okay, here's one of them. I can't tell you the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone. And I'm going to read that again. I can't tell you the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone. I wanted to give an example for me. An example I have is when I first started running groups. I was running mental health support groups at work. And I remember when I first started, there was a simple format that was followed. And I followed the same format that the clinicians were doing, which was basically to bring in a particular article and read through the article. The articles were just different mental health related topics. And then we have a discussion about it, and people give their different points, and I kind of moderate a discussion based on that topic. So I started doing that. And then the group members were like, some of the group members were like, I don't like this. And others were like, I like this, but I would prefer if you did it this way. And then another group member would say, I like this, but I would prefer if you do it that way. And what it was doing for me was just muddling up my mind, because I'm like, I'm trying to do this group in a way that satisfies everybody. Impossible to please everyone, definitely. I'm trying to do this group and run this group in a way that satisfies everybody, but everyone would come with feedback afterwards. So what was happening is that I was kind of starting to lose some of my identity in terms of what I came in there to do and what I came in there to accomplish. The reason why I was selected and requested, because I didn't actually go in there and say I want to lead groups. I was asked by staff. And I'm like, what was the reason that they selected me? They thought that I was engaging. They thought that I am empathetic. And they just thought that I would be a good group leader and a group moderator. So I remember going to my boss of that time and saying, I'm having a problem with my group. And she said, what is your problem? And I said, well, I go in there and I take suggestions and I try to follow those suggestions as best as I can. But somebody always has a complaint. And my boss kind of laughed at me. And I was like, why are you laughing? And she was like, I've been doing this job for so many years, maybe 40 plus years at that point. And I've never run a group and had everybody happy with the group that I'm running. Hi, Tammy. How are you doing today? Yes, please hit the like and hit the notification bell. If you're coming in, please hit the like button. So yeah, she was telling me, I've never had a group where I pleased everyone. So she was telling me, don't run the group with the intention of pleasing everybody in the group. Have a purpose, have a mission going into the group, and do you. That does not mean that you cannot take suggestions, but the suggestions will throw you all the way off track if that's all you're going by. And so I went back into the group. I remember I went back to the drawing board and I said, you know what? Let me make this group the way that I want to run this group, because I have a specific gift and the group has to be run the way that my gift best showcases itself, not what the other people want best. Because if they give me the suggestions and I'm doing the whole group based on their suggestions, I'm not going to be able to do it well anyways, because it's not going to be based on me. Let me get to this comment section. Hey, Lin, how are you doing today? Maureen, good to see you here. It took me years to stop trying to please everyone. Trying to please my husband's family early in our marriage was the hardest. I always felt overwhelmed. Yeah, I can understand. Doing well, enjoying this cool weather for Florida. We are, 56 degrees here in New York. I'm sure it's much warmer over there. Well, I don't know. I've heard different things about Florida recently. Like the weather has been fluctuating. But yeah, I can't execute somebody else's vision better than I can execute my vision. I can use someone's suggestions to sharpen my vision. Let's say if I'm having a brainstorming session with somebody, this is my idea. This is my project, my baby. So they can look at it from an outside perspective and give me ways to make it better, but they can't just tell me, here's a whole new thing that I think would be better than what you're doing. Scrap that and do it this way. So I actually remember a funny thing, and I'm saying funny now because it was not funny to me at the time. I remember one of the groups that I was leading at my job, at my old job. One of the members, as I started the group, I saw this facial expression that he was making, and I was like, oh, why does this guy look so angry? So I was like, hey, so-and-so, you got something to say? What's going on? What's wrong? And he was like, you had to pick this topic? And I said, oh, you don't like the topic? And he was like, no, I think this topic is really stupid, and I think it's triggering, and I don't think it's helping anybody. So I really kind of took that to heart. And I told him, you know, I did something different. Instead of kind of arguing with him about it, I said, well, what would you like to talk about? And he was like, why are you asking me what I want to talk about? You're the one who gets paid to do this. So if you aren't good enough at doing your job, step out of the way. Let somebody else do it. And I was just like, what a thing to say. And then I recall speaking to my boss, because we always used to have these supervision meetings after my groups. Well, not right after my groups, but at some point in the week, we would talk about my groups and how they were going. And I told her about that incident too. And she was like, you know what? Some people are just jealous of the position that you find yourself in. Not me specifically, but people in general. can be jealous of the position that you find yourself in and say things just to throw you off your game, which is a recurring theme if you've been following my feeds over the past few days. It's 83. This world is odd because that does not even make sense for you to be 83 in Fort Lauderdale and for me to be 56 degrees in New York. But anyways, I digress. Yeah. So for that particular person, the suggestions, they weren't really suggestions. It was just, I'm trying to throw you off because I don't like the seat that you're sitting in. 69 degrees here in Jacksonville. Yeah, so that's one example. Another example is I used to do, well, I shouldn't say I used to, but I used to do photography and videography full time. Like I was just doing that freelance, and that was my only income at that time, or my main income of that time. And I remember an issue that I would run into sometimes is that I would be taking videos for somebody. Like, let's say somebody would hire me for a wedding, or let's say somebody would hire me for an event. Sometimes they wouldn't really elaborate on what their vision is. And they're like, oh, I know that you do such a good job, so just do your thing, right? This was in the early days, because now I know I have extensive conversations about their vision before I even book one of those gigs. But at that time, I was just going off of them telling me, oh, I know you're good at what you do because I've seen your previous work. So I remember like a couple of times where I did the work the way that I thought was the best, and it looked great to me. And then I would send them the finished product, and they would be like, this is terrible. I wanted you to capture this. I wanted you to get this. I wanted this style, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, but you didn't tell me of your vision beforehand. So I wasn't really even, we all see things through very, very different lenses. See things through very different lenses. Hey, Vicky, how you doing today? So I got a next quote that I want to throw up here. Okay. Don't feel bad for making decisions that upset other people. You're not responsible for their happiness. You're responsible for yours. Let me read that one again. Do not feel bad for making decisions that upset other people. You're not responsible for their happiness. You're responsible for yours. I want to break some news to you guys. Every decision that you make is going to upset somebody. Every decision, almost every decision that you make is going to upset somebody. You're choosing a restaurant, you choose this particular place, somebody might have wanted this other type of place. You're making plans of an activity for a group or something. Maybe several people of the group will like that place and one or two people won't. You make a decision of where you want to live. Some people will be happy about that, some won't. You make a decision of what you want to do for a job, a career. Some people will like that, some people won't. You're only here to make the decision that works best for you. Unfortunately true. Yeah, you're only here. And people, even if you say you're happy with whatever it is that you chose, they still might not be happy because they're like, I wish that you had done something else. I wish that you had gotten with somebody else. I wish that you had done this another way. Now, to you, I could even use the example of my YouTube page. Granted, I'm not going to say that all the advice I get about my YouTube page is unsolicited. But I will say I get a lot of unsolicited comments and opinions and advice. And that's not to say I don't welcome getting suggestions, because I want to sharpen my skills as much as possible. I want to listen to everybody and just have a gauge of things that people like, don't like, what they want to see more of, what they don't want to see any of or want to see less of. I do take all of those things into an account. But some people frame those suggestions more like, hey, if I had your page, this is what I would be doing. This is who I would be trying to talk to. This is the way that I would do the design. This is what I would do with this. And this is what I would do with that. And I'm like, well, thank you for the suggestion. But it's just that, a suggestion. So when I sit down at the drawing board starts usually with my old school notepad that I keep showing you guys. I want to do, like, if I want to do a live, come up with the topic. I have the topic right at the title, people pleasing. I have bullet points, discussion points. So the framework comes from me. Now I could run it by somebody and say, what do you think of this topic? Now, their suggestions could be very valuable because in a brainstorming session, somebody could hear me go through my plan and say, okay, I like this, and I like this. What are you trying to convey with this? And then I tell them, I explain it to them. And then they're like, okay, as a listener, I might not get that point with this specific example. So do you have something else that might be able to convey this better? So in that particular case, they are helping to sharpen my vision, get my vision clearer, and give me like an outside perspective. And that's very valuable. But what if somebody came in and said, I hate that topic. You know, I think that it would be better if you spoke about the weather, because the weather is a relevant topic to everyone. Not everybody is a people pleaser, so not everybody needs to hear about that. And then I sit here with this vision that I planned out, cross it out on the paper, and say, okay, let me make this about the weather. But the weather was not the topic I had in my mind. It's not the thing that I had the vision for. So it's not the best option for me. So I could get on here, start talking about this thing that somebody else gave me, but that's their vision, not my vision. That's the point that I'm trying to get across here. Do things that are best for you, not for anybody else. That's so funny that you said that, Shai, because I feel that way a lot of the time. Like I would be doing this, I would be doing that, and I think to myself, well, why aren't you doing that? Because you could. Who's stopping you? Get a camera, get a microphone just like I did, get an audience. Half the time, people make certain suggestions like that because they don't like the fact that they can't do what you're doing. Certain gifts that you get in life, they're just given to you. For me, I believe they're given to you by God. And nobody else can have that particular gift, no matter how hard they work and no matter what they do. And everybody's gifts are different. I'm not the best with the YouTube, and I'm not the best with the graphics. I have people help me with all these different things that I'm trying to do here with all of that. But what I am good at is just engaging with people, being level-headed, being positive, being somebody who shines a light into people's lives. Those are intangibles. Those are intangibles that you can't create. So that's the reason why somebody could have all these ideas, but then try to execute it and not get to the same spot. So keep clear what your vision is. Keep clear about what your gifts are, your mission, and your purpose. Yeah, then I think they should go to the Weather Channel or Weather page. Yeah, I like that. I like that, Vicky. There's backseat drivers in your life. Exactly. You know what? I'm writing that one down. Because one of these days I'm going to do a whole talk that says, don't let the backseat driver, let me see. Don't let the backseat driver in your life try to control your destination. Yeah, that's a good one. Don't let the backseat. I like that, Vicky. Thank you. Backseat driver. Okay. Backseat driver. There's backseat drivers in everybody's life. And you know about a backseat driver. You get into the car and they're like, you're driving too fast. You're driving too slow. Or let's say, oh man, I almost don't even want to give these examples because every backseat driver that I know will know who I'm talking about because I don't let a lot of people in my car. I shouldn't say I don't let a lot of people in my car. I should say I don't have a lot of people in my car. But I know people who when they're in the car, they'll be like, you're driving too fast. Or they'll be like, why are you so close to that car? Or they'll be giving me directions and they'll be like, make sure to get into your right lane when we are a mile, 2 miles from the place where I need to be in my right lane for, because they're scared about my ability to get in the right lane when the time comes to get in the right lane. Or maybe not scared, but some people don't feel comfortable being a passenger. They always want to be the driver. I know for myself, I'm comfortable as the driver or the passenger. Well, it depends who's driving. But metaphorically, I'm comfortable with being the passenger or the driver. And what I mean by that is on my YouTube page, right? I'm on my YouTube page. I'm the driver here. So when I'm coming up with whatever content that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do for this page, even though I will sometimes listen to the passenger, especially if I know that they have a good feel of where we're going and I need their roadmap or something, I will take suggestions. I will take some suggestions, but I still have it in mind that I'm the driver. Now, if I go onto somebody else's platform, AKA sitting in somebody else's car, and they're driving me around, I let them be the driver because it's their page. It's their page. It's their project. It's their vision. At most, I'm just here assisting them. I'm just here to assist them. So imagine if every driver, every person that you let into your back seat of your car, you're listening to them instead of doing what you always do in the car. You know where you're going. You know how to drive. You know this and that. You're going to get yourself lost or in an accident because you're like, oh, this person gave me all these specifications of how I should be driving. And then you start to think about your own driving and be like, am I a bad driver? Am I bad with directions? Is this route that I usually take not the best route? Ultimately, being the driver does not even mean that you're always right, that you're always correct. It does not necessarily mean that. It just means you feel secure in your ability to drive that car, and you feel secure in your ability to get yourself to the destination. You might make a wrong turn here or there. There might be times you're going too fast or going too slow, but ultimately you feel confident in your ability as the driver. And if you let the passenger seep in and make you feel otherwise, it's not going to be beneficial to you or them, whether they realize that or not. My brother says, people who think they know what's best for you believe they're the four part of the Trinity: God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and them. Oh, man. That's a good one. That is definitely a good one. Yeah, they're part of the Holy Trinity. They're the fourth member. They're part of the quadrant. Yeah, and there's people that, you know what? It's so funny too. A lot of the people that constantly give you the unsolicited advice and talk to you as if they know all the best things that you should be doing. When you take a look at their life, you say to yourself, man, you have such a good handle on what I should be doing with my life. Why is your life such a mess? Why don't you have it together for yourself? Oh, about that. Well, I would be doing this and this, but this is in the way. This is in the way. This is preventing me from doing this. So I'm trying to just put you on some game. And it's like, you can't do what I'm doing because you don't walk in my shoes. You don't have my same gifts. And you don't have my path. So you can't tell me a better way to run my life. Ultimately, we are figuring out what is best for us based on our own life, based on our own vision, based on our own path. We are figuring that out for ourselves. And we're learning every day because there's never going to be a day where you wake up and you're like, the vision is perfectly clear, because there's going to be times when there's traffic on the route. You're going to get rerouted. There's going to be times where there's accidents that completely put you at a halt. There's going to be times where your car breaks down. You need an oil change. You need to stop and fill the tires. There's going to be all kinds of twists and turns. There's going to be times where you hit that pothole in the road. It's not a straight linear path where you just figure it out and just keep going up that path all the way for the rest of your life. And yes, there is time where you need people for clarity, for guidance, for outside perspectives, for suggestions, all that good stuff. As long as you know that you are the driver. I'm taking this from Vicky, by the way. You are the driver of your own life. Don't let the passengers control the car. They're not the ones putting their foot on the gas pedal, the brakes, or turning the steering wheel. Even if they're telling you to do those things, they're not the ones who are executing those things. You are. You got the license by passing the driver's test, where the driving instructor tested your skills. They made you do a left turn. They made you do a right turn. They made you parallel park. They made you do possibly 3-point turn, U-turn, whatever they had you do. They tested your skills and determined that you were good enough to pass that driver's test, even though not everybody who should be on the road, not everybody should be on the road based on driving skills that I see, especially out here in New York. But you get the point. You did what you had to do. You proved that you were good enough to pass that driving test. Now you're in your car. Now you know how to drive. Now it's time for you to trust your driving and not let anybody else get you off course. You must follow your own path. Nothing wrong with suggestions. Exactly. Suggestions are good. Suggestions are a good thing, but they're not your be all end all. And I have another quote that I'm going to throw up here, which is pretty similar to what I've been saying with the other ones, but you can't please everyone. The best thing you can do is to just believe in yourself and do what you think is right for you. I do want to have a disclaimer and say, when I put these quotes up, I do not mean you shouldn't be listening to anybody, because we've seen many examples. I'm not even going to name their names, but we've seen many popular examples of people who don't listen to anybody. It's like, I am the be all end all. I know everything. Nobody can tell me anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. Everybody needs a sounding board. or even multiple sounding boards if you're lucky enough. A person or people that you trust that are trying to help you execute your mission and vision as best as possible and as good as possible. We all need something like that. As long as those people, as long as that voice isn't louder than your own in the boardroom, metaphorically. Like, I'll give an example. I have a musical family, and back in the day when my grandfather was still here with us, he used to ask me to accompany him with his singing. So I'd be playing the piano and he would be singing with me. And I remember practicing with him. For me, it was terrible. Because he is so strict with his requirements. So he would have me playing and he would start singing, and then he would be like, Mark, softer. You're the accompaniment. He said the singer's voice is always supposed to be the lead, and you're supposed to be softer in the background. Then I said, okay, I play a little bit softer. And then he's telling me the tempo that I'm doing the song is too fast. I have to go according to his voice. I have to go slower and allow his voice to lead and control the tempo. And I'm like, oh, this is too much. I just want to play the song and you sing. Like, you should just get a background track or something if you have this, and just speed it up and slow it down however you want instead of making me do all this stuff. But it's another example that lends itself to the same big metaphor that I'm making. Yes, he's the singer. I am the accompaniment. So that means that the sound of the piano or whatever instrument is in the background, it's background music. It's the background music. So I'm not trying to drown out the singer. Now, if you find that one of your background people is drowning you out, they shouldn't be in that position. Maybe they're trying to be in your position. They're sitting next to you looking at what you're doing and feeling like, I could do better. And I want to show people that I am better. And then they're working to execute their own mission. Then you have a whole other problem on your hands. It's a journey. Enjoy it. Sometimes pit stops and detours can be difficult. When you look back, they may be the best part of your trip. Exactly. That's exactly right. Sometimes those pit stops and detours teach you things about yourself. They teach you about resiliency. They teach you maybe a skill that you never knew that you had at that pit stop. Maybe something happened that changed the course of what you were doing. And you were like, I don't know what I'm going to do from here. And then you figured it out. And then that thing that you figured out is now like a notch in your belt, or something that helps you later on down the line. And you would not have figured that out if not for that experience. And I can say, I feel proud of myself with this page. I really do. And I'll tell you why. There was a point in time in my life where I could not take criticism. I could not take it, tolerate it, just leave me alone. And I know that if I was having this page at that particular point in time, I would have been off of this page already. But learning how to deal with that in my face, in my real personal life, in my day-to-day out here in New York, out here in the world, wherever I'm at, learning how to deal with that was a life skill that made learning how to deal with it on the internet easier. Now, I'm not going to say everybody has their days. It's some days are harder than others, but generally, it's not really anything that crazy, because when I finish with this, turn off the camera, and none of the people who typed any of the stuff that they typed in these comments are here. You know, like I have my family, I have my life, I have my job, I have my hobbies. Nothing changes based on what anyone tells me. So I thought that that would be one thing that would be difficult for me, especially in this era, to kind of handle. But I have surprised myself in my ability to handle those things. And that would not have happened to me without having faced those problems earlier on in my life and figuring out how to solve them then. And I didn't figure out how to solve them in an easy way, because when I tell you about this particular job I had, the clientele was harsh, man. They would tell me your group sucks. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. They would call me names. They'd be like, oh, you're proper, you're this, you're that. They would say all kinds of things to me in this group. And it would really get to me. And when I tell you I was talking to my boss, thank God I had that particular boss who would actually let me sit down in her office and talk to her for hours about different things. Not hours in the same day, but I mean, when you put it all together, she would let me talk to her for hours during the week. This person said this and it hurt my feelings. This person said this and I felt away and it threw me off, and it made me kind of, my demeanor kind of off for when I was leading the rest of the group for the week. And she would just keep reminding me, you have a gift. That's why we put you in this position. You know how to handle these situations. Don't take anything that is said in these groups personally. Recognize and realize that the people coming into your groups have their own issues going on. And if it wasn't you in that seat, it would be somebody else. She was like, even as somebody who is respected like herself and been in the field for so many years, and everybody generally gives her their respect, she was like, even me, there's people who have a lot of problems with me and how I lead the groups and whatever, but it's not even about me. It's about them. That's what they're bringing in. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Shy. Tomorrow, I want to mention something about Thanksgiving really quick. Tomorrow, I'm doing a Thanksgiving run. And I started doing these runs, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. 2017 was the first one. It's called Turkey Trot. And the reason I started doing those is because I like to eat. I like Thanksgiving dinners, fixings, and all that good stuff. But I also don't like the feeling that I get during the holiday seasons of just eating till I'm stuffed every day, then eating the leftovers, and then eating more leftovers, and then the holiday extends for like a month and a half, and then I put on all this weight and I don't feel good about myself and my body anymore. So I started doing this Turkey Trot 5 years ago. I've done it 4 out of 5 years. The 1 year I didn't do it was because of the lockdown, so they didn't have that race that year. But aside from that, I do that every year. And I am going to tomorrow just make a video just talking a little bit about that and showing you a little bit of coverage of that. And so I just wanted to announce that that's something that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And then also, I might, if I'm able to, go live and just talk about some different things that I'm thankful for. Possibly I'll do that in the car. I do know that in the car, the service, the reception is kind of shifty at times, but I might do that also. But if I don't see y'all, happy Thanksgiving in advance. Happy Thanksgiving. May your blessings be abundant. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of getting towards the end of my point here. Let's see. I have one more quote, I believe, that I'm going to put up. Trying to please everyone is a recipe for stress, misery, and frustration. Be yourself. It'll be good to know who's down with that. And I want to say something about that. There are some particular comments that people have made in the last couple of days, good comments, when I asked the reasons why they followed my page. And the thing that they said to me that really stood out and made me feel good was to say, you're somebody who lets everybody know that it's okay to be themselves, and it's okay not to change or compromise or try to look a different way or appear a different way for the world. And I appreciate those comments so much, because I remember that was not like a mission that I set out to show people growing up and coming up. And as a matter of fact, being myself and doing things my own way got me ridiculed and made fun of, at times even bullied. You know, people said different things about my personality, the way that I dress, the way that I look, you know, they just, the way that I act. It was just like nothing I could do was right for anyone. Why don't you just do what everybody else does? And the reason why is because I'm myself. I am my own individual. I've never wanted to be like anyone else. And even being popular, I was not super popular or anything. I mean, people liked me, but I was not super popular or anything. I was not the leader of the pack or the herd. I was just Mark. Mark is just known to do his own thing, stand for himself, advocate for himself, and not necessarily do things that the crowd is doing. Now, usually for me, the crowd is not going in the right direction. If there's a big crowd of people doing one thing, it's usually just something that they already saw a crowd doing and started moving towards. Now, I'm not against working with the crowd or with the group, but first I'm going to check what the group is doing and why, and see if it makes sense before I start moving with them. Because I'm not just going to move because y'all are going there. You all could be walking off a cliff, and the first person at the front decided, I want to walk off a cliff, and then convinced a few people behind him or her to walk off the cliff. And then all the people that started coming behind just started moving because they were moving, and found out when they got there. I'm not going to wait until I get to the cliff. I'm going to ask, hey, why are you walking in this direction? So if somebody is like, I don't know. If I ask somebody else and they're like, I don't know either. I just saw this person going there. Okay, I'm not going that direction. Unless I have somebody who is leading the group tell me, this is the exact reason I'm walking here, and they explain it to me and it makes sense, then I will move that direction. But if I don't get that, I'm going over here. And I've always been that way. And it even translates to Big Brother. I remember, I hate to have to use this example, but I do remember when this Kyle's comments first came out. And I remember people were telling me, Mark, as a black man, you need to cancel this guy. Now, I'm not saying that his comments were right. And based on things that have happened in the off season, I'm not even trying to indulge with this guy. But at that particular time, what I said was, yes, the comments that he made were problematic, but no, I don't think he should be canceled. I said, I think that he should be given a chance to get the education that he needs and prove that he's going to do the things that he said he's going to do, to learn what was wrong with his comments and to learn about other cultures and just to learn about where he was ignorant and wrong. And I had a lot of people tell me, as a black man, you're a black man, you're an embarrassment to us for that stance. And I was like, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but that's my stance. I have my reasons for my stance. It's not a statement to say that these comments are right. It's just a statement to say, I'm not like, take him off the air and cancel him. I'm like, give him a chance, see what the education does for him, and see what kind of changes that he makes outside of the house before we make that decision. And that's that. I didn't go with the crowd. Trust me, a lot of people that were watching did not like that. There was probably plenty of people who unfollowed me because of that. But here's the thing. There's so many house guests in the house. So there's people that left me for that one specific situation. There's people that left me for things that I said about not liking the way that Monty was talking about women or to women, or the way he was treating Taylor. There's people who left for many different commentaries that I made. But overall, people see my body of work and they see that I am consistently me. They see that I'm consistently somebody who is level-headed. I don't jump on the trend. I kind of call things fairly and down the middle. I think about all different aspects, and more people like that than the people who don't. And I'm not conforming to the people who don't. Why would you do that? For somebody who doesn't like you anyways, why are you going to do things the way that they want you to do it? Think about it. They're probably telling you to do it that way because they know it is going to take from your success. And what that's going to do is remove some of the people that actually are here for you, love you, care about you, and want you to succeed for real. Like, let's say I'm conforming to what the trolls are telling me is the best thing to do. Then the people who actually got me here, y'all who actually got me to where I am now, I'm robbing you of the person that I used to be, or the person that made you guys interested in following the page in the first place. So once again, I'm going to close that up. I'm going to put that quote right back up there. Trying to please everyone is a recipe for stress, misery, and frustration. Be yourself. It'll be good to know who's down with that. And thank y'all for being down with me. Thank y'all for letting me to be me, do things my way. You know, sometimes make mistakes, for forgiving me for whatever mistakes that I make and allow me to just work through getting through this beginning stage where I'm at now. And I appreciate all of you. And lastly, once again, please make sure to like, comment, share if you like this content, and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm doing my next release. And if I don't talk to you prior to Friday, happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I'm thankful for all of you. Let me read this comment. Kelly Rowland did a thing during the AMAs. She presented an award. I saw that, in which Chris Brown was nominated. They booed, yes. She quieted the crowd and gently, sweetly told them we are all in need of grace. Absolutely. Absolutely. As we give thanks, remember to extend grace. Extending grace is important. Extending grace is important. Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. Have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving, Mark's community. Thanks, Lin, and you also. You also. I'll be here tomorrow, but I'll understand if you guys are not able to hop on. Happy Thanksgiving in advance and have a wonderful day.